right, so we are live. Thank you everybody for being here today. My name is Monica Rojas. I'm the Membership and Inclusion Specialist at South Florida Tech. I'm going to get ready and share my screen, so just let me know if you guys are able to see it in just a second. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, yes.
Present. All right, so today our guest is Ashley Case, founder and instructional designer at Code Teachers. And our topic is FutureMakers, Techsploration for Kids. So we're going to learn a little bit more about how coding can change the life of kids and also help them learn a little bit better. And Ashley can go into the subject matter in 1 second. So our ultimate goal as South Florida Tech is to build South Florida into a tech hub. And we do so by creating opportunities, events, networking, and just providing the resources for our audience. The best thing about our community is that we have so many awesome people from various backgrounds. I mean, South Florida is super diverse. And, you know, we have our startup founders and we have our kids who are learning to code. And then we have our execs who we try to deliver value to everybody. And we do so with events, podcasts, our different peer groups, and just, you know, workshops like these. So our community creed is to build our community into a welcoming, collaborative, and inclusive community for all. And these are just some of our current members. So we have Office Depot, we have Boca Code on here as well. We have Modernizing Medicine, City Furniture, and then we have Florida Crystals, and you know, you can just take a look at all the different awesome companies we have that are helping our community grow. And these are just a few of our events. So we have about 4 events a week. This is our Friday workshop. On Monday night, we'll have our tech talks, and a new feature that we just recently added is a networking portion. And it starts at 5:30, and the real presentation starts at 6. But I'd highly recommend those of you who haven't gone yet to come and meet more people of our community as well. And then these are just a few of our membership benefits. We have our weekly newsletters, we have job postings, resume distributors. We try to spotlight our members, everyone who's doing something exciting. We provide speaking opportunities like this and also sponsorship opportunities for some of our bigger events like our annual hackathon and our virtual career expos and global entrepreneurship week that's coming up. So definitely stay tuned for that, guys. So yeah, if you haven't done so already, please email or please text your email to this number and we'll go ahead and add you to our newsletter and send you some fun updates about South Florida Tech. All right, so now I'm gonna hand over the mic to Ashley Case. And yeah, go ahead, Ashley, whenever you're ready.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to see you all and be here today. Let me just share my screen and dive in. One second. This is not the time for technical difficulties. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Okay. So like we were saying, this is an exploration on, in this case, I called it How to Raise a Genius. And it's a workshop called FutureMakers, Techsploration for Kids. And then I said, okay, adults too. And first, I wanted to start with the real reason for this course. It's the same reason that I started Code Teachers. And I wanted to, I'm not trying to brag, but I wanted to use them as an example of what investing in your kids and doing some of the things that I mentioned in a few minutes can really do for you. My daughter, Abby, honestly, she's been my best friend since she was born, pretty much. And she graduated high school at 15. Every week she helps the homeless. She's done things like overcome bullying and, you know, face some of her self-confidence issues and become a model. She's a college sophomore already. She has her own business called Making Heaven Crowded. She definitely has a growth mindset. and she has her goals mapped out for quite a while. And she's a code teacher. She's been working with code teachers since she was probably 7 years old. And she's even taught classes entirely by herself. Even when she was younger, she filled in for me a couple emergencies. So moving on to my son, Christian Crew, he's in 9th grade. He's only 13 years old. He also has his own business. He's literally the best coder you can meet. He's the kindest kid. Of course, Abby too. He helps the homeless. He has a growth mindset, and he has his goals mapped out all the way to his PhD. And he teaches others, and he's a code mentor for sure. So where did I get my inspiration? Like, how did I even learn to do this? Well, honestly, my mama, she inspired me. I saw her learning all the time. When I was 9 years old, my mom went to Harvard. She taught me that you never stop learning and that you never grow up, basically. I mean, you become mature, but your mind continues to learn and grow. And she had real conversations with me, and she was honest with shortcomings that she faced herself or life issues. I mean, kept keeping boundaries, of course, but she treated me like a real person. And this taught me to treat others like real people. She believed in me, and she encouraged me to succeed. Definitely, I became an overachiever, but she would always kind of say, don't see this as a failure. This is an opportunity, this is a chance to grow. And even though, I wouldn't see that in the moment, later I could look back and say that. And she had a sales and motivational training company, and she allowed me to participate and teach classes even at a young age. And she taught me how to be a businesswoman from a really young age. And she also helped build the space shuttle, which I always thought was really cool. So the other person that inspired me is my dad. The cool thing about my dad is that he has all this charisma. Everybody likes him. Like when he enters a room, people talk to him. They want to know who he is. He really engages with people and makes them feel important. So the reason I'm mentioning these things are because these are things that we can teach our children, and these are things that we can do to become better ourselves. So my dad never gave up. He's the king of perseverance. He has a growth mindset. And he also talked to me with real conversations and treated me with intelligence. I'm not going to say that we never had our letdowns in life. Nothing was perfect, but overall, they both inspired me, and they were just real people working hard to make a change. And my dad is blind, and he's a master diver, and he helps veterans every day get in the not water ski, whitewater rafting, skiing, all kinds of cool things. So both of my parents are pretty cool, and I could go on and on and on. My grandparents as well. But this leads to me to where I am today. So I started Code Teachers a few years ago, actually inspired by my daughter. When I was a kid, I had the opportunity to get involved in technology. I was extremely shy. I just could barely even talk to people. I was so afraid of kids my own age, but I wasn't afraid of adults, thanks to my mom and my dad. And I would show them some of the things that I was creating on the computer. And they'd be like, how did you do this? This is incredible. Like, what? This is amazing. How did you do this? And this was a long time ago. We're talking like 94, when a lot of people were like, they didn't really get computers in general. And so they really thought I was a magician. And that gave me a lot of confidence. And I wanted the same thing for my daughter and for my son. So I started Code Teachers first for my daughter, and then it grew to become an organization that taught at more than 50 schools in Orlando and after school all over the place. And, probably have taught about 1,500 kids to code by now, I would say. More, actually. That's low in a figure that I think about it. But anyway, so that leads me to my great friendship that I've developed with Todd. He's teaching adults, and, he's a PhD. As many of you know, he's incredible. So we've joined forces, Code Teachers and Boca Code, as co-founders at each other's companies to serve all ages of education, from kids to adults and beyond and younger, in utero, just joking. But anyway, so it should be a fun undertaking to bring education for all. And there are some really great courses coming up at Boca Code: user experience and data analytics. You want to change your life? Now's the time. Get started. It's never too early or too late, so go for it. I would say that my favorite place in the whole world is the bookstore. Some people think that's weird, but I literally think that it's the place of anything is possible. There's literally nothing that you can't learn, nothing I can think of anyway, that you can't discover and bring to life if you're willing to put in the work and effort to learn something new. So I know this is kind of silly, but this is an example of growth mindset. This is my daughter and I on the cover of Entrepreneur magazine. Being honest, we haven't really done this yet, but we're going to. And so I created this as a visual so that I could remind myself of what our intentions are. And she's holding her little model tag because she also accomplished a great accomplishment, which was becoming a model in the Orlando Fashion Week, I think it was. So this is my reminder to go to my other presentation. Sorry if that was too long of an intro, but like I mentioned, this is a topic that I'm really passionate about. And I genuinely believe that the greatest part of my happiness, besides God and the kids, of course, is the fact that I get to do what I love every day. And what I love is technology. And I love teaching other people. So I already went through this introduction. So the first thing that I like to think about is the fact that genius is not just based on IQ. That's a myth that's been busted many times. Genius requires hard work, not just talent or IQ. So if we teach our kids and ourselves to have a growth mindset and know that we can learn new things every single day, we will never get bored. Like my kids very rarely say I'm bored because there's always something to learn. And if they do tell me they're bored, I'm honestly a little offended. Like, well, go learn something then. What are you bored for? Go do something interesting. So why do we cultivate a growth mindset for kids? Because there's so many things out there getting in their way right now. There's bullying, there's movies that are saying, I even see weird t-shirts at the store, like, go away, don't talk to me. My daughter and I were cracking up the other day. It was something like, I'm not a people person. And I'm like, what the heck are these t-shirts? Thank goodness she has a positive t-shirt company called Making Heaven Crowded. There's her plug. Anyway, so we also are always looking down at our devices. We're also disconnected a lot, using these, technology. So we're not communicating with others as much as we have in the past or as much as we want to. So I've personally witnessed and seen lives transformed by people starting to take on a growth mindset. So how do we do this? For some people, it's talking to God. For other people, it's affirmations. So I stuck with the affirmation approach here, and it's about, telling yourself positive things. Like before every meeting, even this one, I was a little nervous. So I said, I know, I remember, I understand, I express myself perfectly. And my mom taught me that when I was a kid, maybe 6th, 5th grade, somewhere in there. And I've literally said it my whole life, and it works. I'll also think about what I'm going to say in advance if I can. Positive thinking, modeling. So setting the example of what you mean. It's one thing to say to somebody, don't do that, but it's another thing to actually show them or admit when you maybe did do what you said not to do. Role playing, engaging and having powerful stories and good conversations, juicy conversations with your kids. So any, just talking about anything that's going on in the world. So a positive way to improve your life every day. First way, if you're feeling down in the dumps or something's bothering you, do something for someone else. Help someone else that's feeling a little worse than you. Feed a homeless person. Second thing, study, get out there and learn something new, because if you're excited about the future, it's hard to feel disappointed or down, and believe you can learn anything. So a growth mindset really has to do with how you approach life. It's not about being sunshine and roses or happy all the time. It's more about trying to think things through rationally and putting a positive spin on things wherever you can and believing you can be anything. So first thing is setting goals. I'm talking fast and I'm not going to read every slide because I don't want to bore you because I want to get to the technology part. So I'm going to send this to Nikki and Monica and Nikki, and they'll give it to you all after so you can read it in more detail. Some of the tips I'm going to skip. But I read this fact that says science says 92% of people don't achieve their goals. And that made me feel really sad to hear that. And I thought, well, why is that? And it said most of them have never learned how to effectively set their goals. Thankfully for my life, my mom taught me really early, and I'm not going to say I accomplished them all. I actually have, where did they go? Oh, I'm using them to hold up my computer. Just to be honest, I'm always working on being better. And one of the things I'm trying to do is finish what I start. So I'm actively listening to and reading, start finishing. And there's another really good one called Extreme Focus, because there's so many great ideas. How do you focus on the right ones? And I think it's about developing grit and just sticking to it so that you can get what you want out of life. So the 4 proven techniques for goal setting for kids are: let your child choose their big goal. Don't mandate their goal for them. You're going to get all A's this year. You're going to go to this college. That doesn't work. They need to be part of the decision-making process. And it may break your heart. It might not be the goal you have in mind, but it's their life and it's important for us to support them. So if your child has a genuine desire to reach their goal, she's far more likely to actually work toward it and measure those goals each day. So you can encourage them to keep working on those goals, or think through what a goal might be by asking them, what's a challenge you'd feel proud to overcome? What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? So, helping them brainstorm these topics and these ideas, and then setting some measurable and trackable goals. So some measurable goals would be: I'll take daily notes this year and review them every day. I'll score 10 points higher in math. So another thing to think about is the reason, the purpose for your child's goal. So for them to be motivated, they have to have a why, just like Simon Sinek says, like, what's the reason? What's the why behind this purpose? And helping them understand their why will help you remind them when things get tough. And it'll also help us gain buy-in and be able to support them. We'll know where to meet them. So students are more successful when they understand that their learning can benefit others. And they've proven that rather than just saying, if their goal is get an A in science, the purpose might be, I want to have a career in science so I can make discoveries or inventions that help people. So by creating a more altruistic purpose, you can really create a powerhouse toward this goal. Like, wow, you're going to change the world. You're going to cure diseases. You're going to be a scientist, or, you're going to be a coder that writes an app that changes, something, disrupts technology. So, just reminding them what the reason is very important. Like I said, I'll send you those slides, so I'm going to skip over those. Break the goal into smaller steps. So a lot of times it's hard to think of exactly how to do this. So there's kind of an easy way to do it, and it's called a goal ladder. So I'm skipping ahead a little bit, and it allows us to help our child visualize the goal. And the way that it works is you think of what the big goal is: learn to ride a bike. But then you set smaller incremental steps toward that goal. Watch how we do it, practice, pedal, practice, and then they've learned and they've accomplished the goal. So the next thing to think through is obstacles that might come into play. So a lot of people skip this step. They don't think about what might prevent them from getting this goal. And I think this is what causes us to give up or get scared sometimes. And I think the point is that if we understand these things, we're going to be prepared for them. And when they come around, we're going to be like, oh, I knew you were coming. I'm ready for you. Watch what I can do. And there's a great book. It's really short. It's called The Dip by Seth Godin. And he talks about how, for example, medical students will sometimes give up because they're so excited in the beginning. But then as they get to the point of, let's say, organic chemistry, when it gets really hard, they think they can't do it. They're not equipped and they give up. But if instead in advance you think, what am I going to do when I get to the tough stuff? They're already mentally prepared. They're going to be able to plow right through it. And, when you have a small business, there's going to be things like, we don't have enough money. I don't have the resources. The person I needed most quit. I didn't get the contract I needed. Okay, well, how are we going to overcome these things? If we know in advance, we'll be ready for them. So there's an acronym called WHOOP, and it's about wishing. You think about something you want, you visualize it. And I do this all the time. This really works. And you kind of picture yourself accomplishing the goal. So if you want to become the best coder, when I was learning to type, I would practice all the time. I would just type. As I was speaking to people, I would type out the sentences with my fingers over and over and over and practice. I would visualize myself becoming the best designer, the best coder. Not to be selfish, but, my face on the screens in Times Square, speaking about some accomplishment, or, doing coaching to help others accomplish their goal. The other thing is obstacles, knowing what could hold us back from reaching this goal, and then planning ahead. So if this happens, I will do this. So as you plan for these, you can talk to your child about negative thoughts and help them, kind of talk through from a more positive perspective. So I did include a goal worksheet. That's one of the activities for you to do with your child and also for yourself. When you open these, they're going to look kind of kid oriented. but honestly, they're great for all ages. They're just maybe a little more whimsical. I'll show you what they look like in just a moment. Okay, so you know about growth mindset now and setting goals. What else can you do to raise a happy tech genius or happy genius? Expose your children to diverse experiences. And when they show a strong talent, give them an opportunity to develop them. So, for example, both of my kids are interested in technology, but from different perspectives. So I encourage my son, I invest in what he wants to do. If he wants to build a computer, I try to help make it happen. You know, I just look for opportunities to support their dream and, you know, invest in it at every turn. So another thing that's important is giving our child opportunities to volunteer and help others and make kindness a family activity. So as they learn to become tech gurus or tech entrepreneurs, they're probably going to make a lot of money. It's important that they feel a responsibility to help others and also to give back. We don't accidentally want to create entitled or ego driven, or, you know, we want to create people that care about other people, because that's really how we change the world, I think, in my opinion anyway. So we encourage our kids to take intellectual risks, and we do the groundwork to create great experiences. So all along the way, we're helping our child see what makes them incredible and raise resilient children that never give up by being a supportive role model, admitting when we make mistakes. Believe me, I make plenty of them. And I go to my daughter all the time and say, I can't believe I did this dumb thing. And then she'll be like, oh, it's okay, mom, you know. And then let them make mistakes sometimes, not intentionally. I'm not going to let them fail, but at the same time, you can't save them from every scenario. They won't be prepared for life. Praise them the right way, which is focusing on progress and effort, not just, you know, skill or outcome, and teaching them to problem solve. So like I said, I'm going to send you this presentation. So I'm going to dive in now and show you some technology. Let me make sure, let me skip a little bit ahead. Actually, let me tell you this first. So there's 3 things that you can do with your child to really help them start working toward accomplishing their goals. First one, actually create some goals. My son and I did this. Let me show you actually. Hopefully it opens right up. Plan. No, sorry. I thought it would jump right up, but here we go. So for my son, you're going to see that it's very basic, but these are his goals down here that he created himself. He wants to start his business, which he already has. He helps with the Tycoon Roblox game. He works on some affiliate projects with me. He's becoming a cryptocurrency trader. And basically, he wants to become an electrical engineer, study rocket science, and he's already preparing for dual enrollment so that he can start college next year. So all of these things are helping him kind of on his path, his dream. So we just create a sheet and we track it. We have vision board. Abby, if you're nearby, can you grab your vision board really quick if you're still listening, honey? And then the last thing is called an I've Got This board. And this is really about helping them, you know, be prepared and learn from mistakes. And, you know, another thing about it is really thinking through from a growth mindset, helping them think about the things that help them feel strong, the things they most enjoy, the things they'd like to do when they grow up. So I had an activity here for us. After speaking about all of those goals, let me show you something here. So I kind of went back and forth. I want to show you this one really quickly. And then we can do the other activity because it's a little faster. But there's this really neat site. It's called Machine Learning for Kids. And what's cool about it is it uses modern technology, and machine learning is about teaching a computer certain patterns so that we can allow it to predict an outcome or identify an outcome, for example, without human intervention. So let me show you an example. I think I have a sheet open over here. Actually, I'll just open it again. So I was going to have you do a project where we teach a computer a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset, but it was going to take us a little time, too long for the time that we have. So I have included this worksheet in the link to you, and I recommend that you do this with your kids or even just play with it yourself. It's really fun. So for example, we can do this model, and I've used this a lot with the students to teach them about bullying, like things that you say to other people impact them. It even impacts the computer. So if we teach the computer when someone's saying something nice or when someone's saying something mean, and we can measure a response of either a happy face or a sad face, we can demonstrate that not only does it impact people, but computers can even learn to detect, kindness or bullying. And so it kind of has a dual benefit of teaching them, not to be bullies, but it's also fun because you get to create a model using Watson that learns different patterns and allows you to produce a result. So it's pretty fun. You get to be a geek and teach a lesson at the same time, which is definitely my favorite thing to do. So for example, here's someone saying something, mean to this poor happy face. It's supposed to be happy. There's no, that's kind of when it's waiting for you to tell it something. So this code you see on the screen, this is visual code. I use that with the youngest coders. I'm going to show that to you. So we can start with this usually around age 4. There's things for even younger than that, but usually 4, you can do Scratch Junior. 5 and 6, you can do Scratch, which I'll show you. It's developed by students at MIT in partnership with some of the things that they do to support the community. And this language, it's called Blocky, and it's used behind the scenes for a lot of game engines, which I'm going to show you, like Game Fruit and Stencil and several others. And it kind of prepares the student, teaches them a few things. One, how logical steps can produce a certain outcome, teaches you what happens if you miss a step. And it also starts to teach things like if-then statements and, some of the more comprehensive every single day parts of programming. So that was one challenge I thought of us doing, but instead I thought we would do this one. So this is for you to think about for a couple minutes. The challenge is, if you won $1 million right now, what would you do with it? So it's kind of to help you think about what if money was no object, because a lot of us kind of get stuck in our day job, or we get stuck doing the thing that we're doing every day. So if we took away any barriers, what would we do? So this, if you do this now or you do this later, my challenge to you today is to spend a little time thinking about what you'd do with $1 million. And if you do what you're already doing, awesome. It means you're probably on the right track, because that's what I'd do. I'd do what I'm already doing, but I'd have more resources to do things faster and with more help than I have right now. If you wouldn't do what you're doing, what can you do to move toward that goal? How, is there something you need to learn? Is there something that you are afraid of? Is there something that maybe you have too many responsibilities? And of course, we have responsibilities, but maybe you can start it on the side. So it's kind of getting you into that mindset of what if, and what if there were no barriers? What would you do? So what I was thinking is that if you guys were willing to do this for maybe like 5 minutes, no, that's too long. Let's say 2 minutes, because what I'll do is, Monica and I talked about this in advance. We're just going to randomly pick someone, and you're going to get a gift card to Barnes and Noble. And I guess what you can do to show that you did it is, if you don't mind, either adding into the comments or holding up a piece of paper or something. And then we'll just randomly pick someone to get the $50 gift card to Barnes and Noble. So I'm going to do it right now. So it's 10:35. Let's go to 10:37. We're thinking about what we would do if money were no object. So maybe $1 million isn't enough. Give yourself a raise. So go ahead and think on that. I'm going to do the same thing right now. No, I'm going to cheat and write mine on the screen. I think we are, time's up basically. So hopefully you spent your money well. So I thought about mine. Let's see if anybody else think of anything? Monica? Oh, Todd's got some good ones. He's got a whole list. He's going to take a vacation, pay off debt. That's a good one, actually. Put interest, invest in Boca Code, I think it says, in Code Teachers.
It says put the rest in Boca Code.
Put the rest. Okay, awesome. Sorry. How about you, Monica? Anything?
Yeah, so I actually had invest in Code Teachers as well.
Yay! Code Teachers and Boca Code are winning today.
Yes.
Okay, looks like got some chat stuff here. James, oh, that's awesome, James. We need to bring you on the team. Offer job training to unemployed, give homeless a home. That's awesome. Provide scholarships. I think we should all be friends for sure. And then it looks like, Dennis, did you come up with anything? You don't have to share it if you don't want to. You just say thumbs up. Oh, that's a picture. That was totally a blonde moment.
I'm good. No, thanks.
Sorry. Okay,
Yeah, but one of the goals to help would definitely be maybe be a fund investor in Boca Code.
Awesome. All right, Boca Code. Go team. And
Abby had a list.
Oh, yeah. Abby did? Of course,
Yep.
my daughter. Where's your list, Abs?
So I said, open a few homeless shelters with job opportunities, free food, clothes, shower. Start a few small boutiques everywhere. Continue with my business idea. Continue with my education, pay for it all. Buy a house and invest in real estate. Open more stores across the globe.
That's awesome. I love your invest in real estate idea, Abs. Super smart. Get on that right away. Those are all awesome ideas. Anyway, we should have some time of philanthropy the session. Maybe Nikki and Monica can make that happen because there are some initiatives already underway for some of those things. Maybe we could team up. Nikki, did you want to say anything, or Michael? Anybody else?
I had on here, I know we've talked about it, but just I would love to grow Get It Girl more.
Yeah.
And then I personally would just love to volunteer more. I feel like I know I work within the community and I feel like I do a lot of volunteering, but I just feel like I could do more. And I feel like I feel the best when I do that.
That's so nice. I love that. That's true. How about you, Michael? Okay. Did anybody on Facebook say anything, or anybody else want to say anything? Ed?
I think Ed's looking like he might want to.
Yeah.
Well, one of my passions is to try to close the digital equity gap. So creating some sort of either organization or business that successfully wires up broadband deserts and also gets devices in the hands of, if kids are getting free lunch, they probably need a free device, and that would make the country smarter.
I love that. That's so cool. And I used to participate in this thing called One Laptop Per Child, I think it's called, or something like that. I think that sounds like I don't even know what actually has happened to that. I don't think they've actually given one laptop to each child. So I love your idea, Ed. Not that you guys need my affirmation. I don't mean it like that. Mom, anything you wanted to say? She loves when I put her on.
Well, actually, I had written down ensure every person that wanted it could have great internet and a computer, but Ed just solved that issue. So
Well, you can team up with him.
we can share that one, Ed, and find ways to keep people from starving and fix the environment.
Yes, that's true. My mom is definitely about the environment. She's an environmental engineer. So you and Todd have that in common.
Cool.
Great. So, okay, so let me dive into tech again. Let's see, share screen. Thank you guys for doing that exercise. I really toiled on what activity to do. I couldn't decide. Monica's the best at that, and Nikki. Did I accidentally go back I hope not. I did somehow. Oh, I'm in the wrong presentation. Sorry. Thank you. I am human after all. I admit it. Okay, so all of this was to tell you that there is a free class that we're offering. It's called FutureMakers. It's a Techsploration class, which I'm just getting ready to dive into with you. And it's a class that you can attend with your child, or your child can attend on their own. Like I mentioned, it's free. We're going to provide coaching, some interest assessments, and really some hands-on activities to help discover what their path is currently, and kind of maybe, even though it might evolve over time, but what their current longer term goals are. So that's the point of that class. So we have a class at Co-Teachers called Techsploration, and it's all about exploring different technologies. And I'm just going to give you a really quick example. The first thing that we do in this class is we inspire the kids by showing them other kids that have accomplished great things. So it doesn't matter that they're 12 or 14 or 10. The computer really couldn't care less. It's really about their willingness to get out there and try new things. So once we kind of establish that baseline that they can accomplish these things, we start to dive in and think about what are some of the things that we can do with code. One of the cool tools that I love to have the kids play with. So we're in the exploration phase now, guys. So one of the tools I love to show them is called Fold It. And you may have seen this one before, or you may not. And there are others like this. I just particularly like this one. And what this is a few years ago, they'd proven, so a few scientists proved that gamers are really, really good at solving problems, obviously. And that if we enlist them in solving or figuring out solutions to things like curing cancer or AIDS or COVID or Parkinson's disease, we can probably make much faster progress. So this is a really fun game called Fold It. You have to install it locally, unfortunately. But what it allows you to do is you take protein strands and you connect them together in different patterns. And as you solve problems, it submits this and it runs it through this data mining process so that it can actually be evaluated to see if this might work as a solution. And I like to get the kids involved because it does a few things. One, it makes them think about the fact that real problems that exist in the world. Two, they can have an impact on them. Three, they get to play with technology. And four, they're contributing to something that's actually necessary right now. And you never know, they might be the one to do it. So it's called Fold It. And I recommend you try it out and also do it with your kids or your friends' kids because it's fun. And I do it on a frequent basis myself just to kind of relax. And I think I'm contributing to curing Parkinson's right now. I'm joking. But another thing is making driverless cars. So, they know about cars. So it's talking about what type of technology is that. Another thing I like to talk to the kids about, not to scare them, but to teach them to be responsible with not just blanket using technology wherever we can. When we get into things like artificial intelligence, we have to be very careful. If we teach things to think, or let's say, for example, we go down the path where everybody gets a chip. Well, what happens if that chip gets hacked? Or you know what I mean? So it's thinking about always being responsible and making sure that humanity stays in control. And we talk about big subjects like that with the students, and we make some cool things. And then we go over some resources. So I talk to them about staying curious. This is the most important thing that we can do as kids or adults. And then we learn about how the way that we treat other people can really significantly impact their success. So we look at some examples of other kid YouTubers. A lot of them really love YouTube. So we use this a lot to show success stories of kids that are succeeding in this world and making a lot of money. And then we use that to talk to them about giving back, So I thought one of the first bite-sized things that I usually do with kids is teach them how to create pixel art. So there's a very fun tool called Piscal app. It's completely free, so you can use it really on, Chromebook and beyond. And the reason I like to use this as an example is a lot of people think that they can't draw, but that's actually not true. Every single person can create pixel art. If you can draw a square, you can draw. So when I say every person, I mean every person that can draw a square.
You just muted. We can't hear you. You're on mute, Ashley.
Sorry, did I unmute? Am I unmuted?
You're good now.
Okay, sorry, it said the host muted me. I thought I was in trouble. Okay, so Pixel app is cool because built right in are ways to animate, as well as several other things that we can do to take these creations directly into game engines like GameFruit, Scratch, Stencil, Minecraft, Roblox, etc. And the kids love these. So first thing I'll generally do is talk them through this palette, this toolbox. I'm going to move down here to the color palette. This is by far my favorite tool. So I definitely recommend you guys give yourself a little creative time today and check it out. So the vertical mirror pen tool, what it allows you to do is it creates a mirror image of whatever you're drawing very quickly. So you can create, I don't know what character I'm creating right now. This is kind of a weird looking guy, but you can create characters very quickly and animate them. And I usually do this right out of the gate with students because they see so quickly that they have the power to make something. And then as quickly as I can, I help them get it into a real game so that they start to learn that they can make their ideas come from their head to a real game. So I'm just going to do a little, oops, that was an accident there, but there's no accidents, as Bob Ross would say, right? Just happy, whatever it is.
Happy accidents.
Happy accidents. That's what he says. You're right. Thank you. Happy accidents. Okay, so I've got my kind of weird character here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this frame and I'm going to move him a little bit so that you can see he's now jumping up and down. And I would do much more sophisticated animation than this, but I want to show you more things. So I'm going to click on Create Sprite one more time because I want to show you a better made one. 1 second. I'm going to go over here together. I have Mega Man. Everybody loves Mega Man. So Mega Man, the neat thing about Piskel app is it also helps us teach frame-based animation. So we can see that in each of these frames, we have a small change, but it's significant enough that when we stitch them together, it looks like Mega Man is battling. So it allows us to start to teach students about animation too, and all they had to do was draw a square. And we can trace and do all kinds of cool things. So over here, if you do decide to create a creation, if you export that creation, you can download it as a PNG, a GIF, you know, obviously it'll be animated. A PNG you can use in a static way in your game engine. So I'm just going to go ahead and download just this one frame. You can also export a sprite sheet, which is cool for gaming. So I'm going to download this. And then I'm going to move on to the next thing. Oh gosh, I'm getting really short on time. Oh, okay. So another tool that I was going to mention to you is called GameFruit. So this is a really fun game engine that you can use with your kids. And you can go in here and start making, and you can create some really fun and simple platformer games that they can bring to life very quickly. Let me just see if I can do one in under a second or under a minute. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to head over here to my media and I'm going to go to the marketplace. I'm going to grab really quickly their free pack, which is the GameFruit Classic Pack. I'm going to get it for free. And then once I have this pack, it's going to display over here in my bottom left-hand corner. So the nice thing about this is that by using this pack, it already has a lot of the scripts included, and you can start to break down and explain to them how those scripts work. So the first thing I'm going to do is just drop in a background. We're going to play this game really quickly, add a layer so I can drop in a tile map. So why are those blacklisted? Let me scroll down a little bit. The kids, you would not believe, they absolutely go crazy for doing this. And it's really fast and easy. I'm just going to quickly add in a player, new layer over here. Let's go grab, actually, I'll just grab the player that's already I'm not going to use a non-player character. So bam, I've made a quick game. Not much to it yet, but he is actually coded because I use the pack. In the Techsploration, we do a lot more. So unfortunately, my guy can't do much yet except walk and unfortunately die. Sorry, that's his end now. But we're going to move on to the next tool. So because students want to do more than just visual coding, they also want to do real coding. A great place to start is in the most in-demand language in the world right now, which is JavaScript. So we will teach JavaScript. And like I mentioned, I usually start with the very small steps first, no more than 10 minutes. And there's like a Learn JS in 10 steps. And I'll teach them really quickly to do strings and variables and, you know, start to teach them a little bit about how it works. And a tool that you can use, or that I frequently encourage them to play with, is called CodePen. And I also use Replit. But with CodePen, you can go on and see many, many creations that are already out there, and you can modify them. So these are really interesting creations where people have created animations using just CSS. Sometimes it's with JavaScript, sometimes it's, you know, combination, but you can go in. So let's go take a look at what this impossible checkbox is. So I'm going to click on it. And when it opens up, it brings up an HTML editor, the CSS, which is the look of it, and then JavaScript, which is the interaction with it. And we can immediately start making changes if we want to, or we can interact with it. So pretty cool here. Let's see. There's a little bear that's turning it off. That's cute. Very good. I like that. That would be very frustrating in the real world if you were trying to fill out your tax forms. Okay, all right. So another tech exploration activity that I like to do is show them some simple design tools like vectr.com. This is a great way to start to teach students about vector art and how vector art is created using lines and curves and math, and that we could create a vector image and stretch it around the entire world and it wouldn't lose any quality, versus a pixel image, you know, we can only stretch it so far, or a raster image, I should say. So another thing that for the younger students, we sometimes will dive in and look at things like code.org so they can explore on their own. I try to give them as many opportunities to keep going on their own as I can. And then for the bigger kids, we move into Blender and Unity, as well as, you know, some actual coding, like I mentioned, using Replit, etc. And we do lots and lots of silly things, because the more silly and fun that we do, the more it sticks and they want to come back and they want to keep going. If it's hard or frustrating, students will generally not keep going as easily. So I'm going to give you a few more resources after this because I used so much time talking. I'm going to record something and send it to Nikki and Monica, and you guys can use it, you know, to keep going. But one of the things that I wanted to present to you was something that we were thinking about for a while, called the Better in Every Way Challenge. So this is about challenging yourself every day and your child to become better at something. So it's whether it's being more kind, learning something new, studying something that you're very interested in. I always have multiple courses going at the same time. It makes me feel hopeful and excited, and I can't wait to get to it every day. So if you will add this hashtag, we're going to put a post, I believe, at Code Teachers, and I also think Boca Code. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but for sure Code Teachers. There's going to be a challenge there every day. And if you participate in this for 30 days, at the end of 30 days, we're going to have a $250 prize. And basically what we're going to look for are the hashtags. You know, we're just using a tool to go through and identify the hashtags. And we figured by giving you some cash behind it, that you'd feel a little motivated to do this. And we'll show you who the winner is. So today's challenge is really about being a lifter, using your words today to help someone else believe in themselves. And Like I mentioned, this course that I have told you about today is free. There's 4 sessions and coaching. I included a link, which you'll receive in the probably the follow-up email from Nikki and Monica. I also included a few resources here, but there's bonus materials too. And I found some really cool bonus materials out there and gave them to you guys. So in the growth mindset, there's a bunch of printables here that you can use with your child. I also put the one from machine learning for kids and things like that. But if you go in here and take a look, you're going to see that there are lots and lots of things on, instead of saying, I'm not good at this, you could say, I'm not good at this yet, but I'll learn, so we can go home or we're already home probably, it is COVID right now, but we can go in and start, practicing some of these things with our kids. The other items that I put in there are the goal setting, and then there's some inspirational quotes. Looks like I need to drop that sheet in there too for the machine learning for kids. So I really enjoyed speaking with you today. I hope that you had fun. Really just wanted you to maybe think about a new perspective on your own goals as well as goals with your kids and have a fun time. I hope you did. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I actually had a question. So let's say if, you're a parent and you have no experience with tech, how do you get your child involved, and like, what do you do when they have questions? Let's say if they did, one of these, resources that you've provided.
Well, the nice thing is, thanks to YouTube and Google. So first of all, obviously there's code teachers in Boca Code, obviously. And we would always help, and you could email us, even if you just had a question and you just needed some guidance, we would help you. And we also have free classes. I mean, it doesn't get much easier than that. But if we're unavailable for some reason, or it's midnight, YouTube and Google obviously has tons and tons of resources. Even the Piscal app that I just showed, there's some cool videos out there about making, like, let's say a potion bottle. And although I think the benefit of coming to one of our classes is that we can help and guide and avoid some caveats and also make it a social experience with other students. Many of the things that I know I taught myself, and you and your child can too, but we are here to help shortcut that, and we're not the only ones. Code.org has lots of free resources, etc. And so does Code Palm Beach. Code Palm Beach, I think, does more one-off experiences where you can go and attend an event and kind of dive in, but it's a great opportunity. So there's Code Palm Beach, there's Code.org, Code Teachers, Boca Code. We're all here to help you. I also work for Thinkful. I have to give them a little plug to create courses for them. But the point is, there are tons of opportunities out there, and you can email myself or Todd as well.
Okay. And another question I had was, can you share some of the benefits of learning teaching your kid how to code at a young age?
Oh, there's so many logic
that like maybe just success stories and
oh yeah, there's so many. Okay, success stories. I'll start at home. Crew is already an amazing coder, and he's only 13, and he's using this for his own business. Some of our students have done things like win scholarships, win science fair, hackathons. One of our projects that we worked on together was we created a mailbox that had Raspberry Pi and Arduino, and we included a motion sensor. So when you'd open the mailbox, it would detect that motion and it would send a text message saying you've got mail. So that way you knew, whenever the mailman had come or the mailwoman had come. Kids out there, some of the stories I showed you in the beginning, there's a girl that created an app called Sit With Me to help people feel comfortable in the lunchroom, like they have a place where they belong. Tons of games were created by kids. There's one called Busting Jeeber, a bunch of others. Lots of success stories and case studies that show. So logic, competence, early communication, I would say, math, science, learning how to read. Like my son tests at a college level, and really all he's done is, he's been reading computer books and studying and, typing code. And the list goes on and on. There's I think a presentation on code teachers. Let me show you really quickly. I won't make you watch it, the whole thing, but I'll show you the quick little intro. I actually meant to show Boca Code earlier too. First, I'll hop by Boca Code. Lots of great courses here for adults, free and paid. And then code teachers, I was going to show you the benefits because you asked, and because I wanted to remind myself really quickly. Where did it go? Okay, kids who code test 75% higher in logic and abstract thinking. They feel, generally they have a more entrepreneurial spirit because they're able to see the result of their creativity, or the fact that they can create the ideas that they have in their head. Also, more willing to explore and try new things. Todd actually used in his class the other day, and I used it yesterday in my class, Todd, so thank you. He said, in real life, we don't always have an undo button, but the cool thing about coding and design is that we can undo. So if we make a mistake, he said it better than this, but if we make a mistake, we can roll it back. And I thought that's such a good point. By teaching our kids to code and to be creators, we're teaching them that they can try something and they can undo it. And, they can also learn when they can't undo it. But, the point is that there's really no failure in coding or design. You're just exploring and trying new things.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ashley. We're right about at time. Does anybody else have any other questions they'd like to ask before we finish here? All right. Well, thanks again for joining us on this Friday. I hope
Monica, we've got to give the gift card to someone
that's right.
For the $50. So
Okay,
do you want to announce it on Facebook or?
Yeah, we could announce it, but do you want to pick the winner?
Well, I feel like it would be biased of me to pick. How about if we let Abby pick?
Yeah, let's let Abby pick.
Okay, let's make sure she can see the participants.
Let's see. Hold on, I forgot his name. I think James should win. I really liked his.
Yay. All right, James. Okay. Expect I just need to get your email. I think probably Nikki.
I'll send it over. Yeah, I'll send it over.
We'll email you.
James, you're the winner.
Yay.
Hey, really?
You're gonna get an e-gift. Awesome. Well, I hope you guys had fun and that it wasn't boring to you, but I really, really appreciate you coming, and thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Okay.
Have a great
week.
Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you. You all have a fantastic
Awesome.
weekend. Fantastic.
Glad to see you're on the Boca Code team too now. So congrats.
Thank you.
Bye.